I'm Katrina, and this is Tare, and today we're foraging. We're next to a levee, next to a creek, and let's find out what we can find. So right here on the ground next to me, this is called plantain. There are lots of different kinds of plantain, but they all have this, the veins that go from the bottom of the leaf all the way up, and then they have this little plume. It doesn't have a flower right now, but it has a little long stick with a plume, and that is a medicinal plant. So that's used for lots of different things. Look up plantain for your area and you'll be able to recognize it. It's good for lots and lots of things. Now over here we have, this is a rose, this is a native rose, and while it doesn't really have food for us right now, the petals and the rose hips, there's an old rose hip right here. That's really old. That's not edible anymore. But the petals and the rose hips are edible. So we know we can come back and chow down. And look, there's some right there. There's more plantain. And right here, this is a radish. So we can eat the wild radish, we can eat the leaves, and the pods are good. It's particularly good. Right there, we're gonna pan over here, and we have more good stuff here. Look at this. This is a curly dock, and it is a rumex, and it is edible. You can eat the leaves. It has a long spear of like a seed head. It's obviously not here anymore. But you can eat the seeds when it has seeds. It's a little bit salty, so you might want to soak it or don't salt it when you cook it. We're going to collect some of this. And it has some nice tender shoots here. I'm just going to take a couple leaves from this one and a couple big leaves from this one. Alright, look around here. This is pretty rural vegetation. You see there's another dock right there. Right there. There's another plantain. These are weedy species. They'll claim an area. There's another one in here that is also edible. There's lots of different varieties of this. And that's this right here. This is a gallium. It's also called bedstraw. Let me show you why. Alright, so here is why this is called bedstraw. You can see it has kind of a whirl of leaves, and if you can see, I don't know if I can get it to focus. It has a lot of little grippy Velcro things, and called bedstraw because if you throw it at somebody, it's going to stick. You throw it at somebody's hair, it's going to stick. It doesn't come out very well. So, like someone's been in the straw. So this is edible. It is cooked, kind of like what you would do with spinach, is you kind of boil it down. Not boil it, but steam it down, or however you cook spinach is how you would do that. So we'll get some of this. And I see another thing I'm going to talk about, but I see some bigger ones later, further up. So this is also called cleavers. Is another name because it cleaves to things. I'm just going to take a little bit of each just to kind of have an array. But I am starting to see this right here. It's a couple feet away. And this is also in my yard. This is what the round leaves are, where the flowers come out. It has a white flower. It's not quite bloomed yet. And then these leaves are the other leaves. So these are called miner's lettuce, and miner's lettuce is called miner's lettuce because when the miners came to California, they needed something to sustain them, and it was a high source of vitamin C, and this is what they ate. That is a legend. I'm sure there's other reasons why it's called that. It is very high in vitamin C, and it's very good for you. It's Claytonia is the name, and there are multiple different kinds of Claytonia around. This just happens to be actually a native variety. So far we have some natives here and some non-natives here. So this is Claytonia. It's edible. Now, I'm next to a path. Maybe I shouldn't be eating this, but it rained 2 inches in the last 2 days, so I figure it's clean. I'm not gonna collect any of that because I have it in my yard. We're getting a whole lot more cleavers in here. This grass right here is a wild oat. Wild oat is something that is really common to California in general, but especially where I am. I did see some oats further up the trail the other day that have some seed heads on them, so I'll show you that. But we know we can come back, and if we needed to, we could have, you know, oats. It's going to be a little cumbersome to harvest all of it, but we could do it. See, now here's a more thick patch of both the cleavers and the miner's lettuce, both thick in here. Now, you guys might see other things you can eat in here. Go ahead and put it in the comments if you see other things that you can eat. Now, I know we're talking edibles here, but this is actually a coast live oak. It will have acorns. It doesn't have acorns right now, but I want to take you to take a look at it. So you can block the sun. And see all that white stuff? That's bird poop. This is underneath the eucalyptus that has turkey vultures roosting. So they come here at night to roost. They come in every night, and in this area they have several different, well, a few different trees that they cluster in, and it's kind of fun to come and see them do that. Kind of hard to film that because it is more dark. But when you see something like this, it could be indicative of a bird roost. So you might have turkeys or owls, or, you know, a flock of pigeons like the band-tailed pigeons might be also doing that. So there you go. There's a nice looking curly dock right there. It's Rumex. Very nice. So as we're walking, let me kind of talk to you about foraging. So foraging, you definitely want to, I'm looking while I'm talking, you definitely want to know what you're eating before you eat it. If it's new to you, always do small amounts, and you know, don't just gorge yourself on it. So, oh, here we go. Here, see if I can go over here. This one is a curly dog with that spike, and these seeds right here, well, they're gonna blow away. These seeds right here are edible. Now, they've been on there a while. I don't feel like I need to eat them. I'll just plant more. Alright, so there's a safety part of that, is basically know what you're eating before you put it in your mouth. There's lots of different books out there. There's foraging groups in a lot of areas, and so that's really good. Just looking at this area here, we have lots of the same species right here. I know we're going to get to a few other species soon. What you want to make sure of is that your oh, here's one more. All right, right here is a thistle. I believe this is Italian thistle. Most thistles are edible. You can eat the leaves, and in fact, artichoke is a thistle. But I'm gonna have to double check whether Italian thistle is edible. I know other thistles are, but I would think it is. Check for yourself. This one right here, oh, I am forgetting the name of. What is the name of that, guys? I know the name of it. It pretty much just tastes like grass, so I don't need it. But chicory is in my mind. That's totally not what it is. Chickweed? I believe that's chickweed. I'm gonna have to look up chickweed, but I believe that's what it is. If that's what it is, it just kind of tastes like grass, but it gives good nutrition, and it's good topically. All right, back to the topic. This is how hiking with me works. So there's a few things that you want to make sure of. One, also that you know what's not edible. Here's something that's not edible. This right here is called wild cucumber, and the fruits of these are not edible. So there you go. So when you're foraging, you want to make sure that you are in a place that is safe to forage in. So that's safety, like, to your person. You know, make sure if you're going to be looking down, make sure you look up and around as well. But also make sure that you are foraging not right next to a road, because we all know there's some nasty stuff on roads. So if you can avoid roadways as your foraging spot, then you'll be much, much better for it. Here are some flowers. So that's what the flowers look like. That's open. And they're little tiny flowers. There's some more over here. A lot of times along the roadsides here, we have things like fennel, and that's really yummy, but you might not necessarily want to get it off the side of the road. I believe that's a plant that accumulates heavy metals, which we know comes off roads. So that's not a good thing. So here's some wild oats. So right there, that seed head you see, and then all of these. Let's see if we are in the right season to eat these guys. So they feel a little plump. This might be a little awkward because I don't have my tripod, but there is, I'll hold it by the on. So the on is what I'm holding it by, and they have two of them. There we go. And what you can do is open it up. Let's see. I'm gonna be the weirdo on the side of the trail. I'll open it up for you guys. I'll sit down on the ground. So here is the seed. So I'm gonna just take it apart, and we have two different parts here. This is the outside, that can go away. And on the inside, we have, hard to do looking through the camera. We can peel this off, and there will be a little green seed that is not yet fully developed. And that is super, super sweet. There we go, there's the seed. Okay. That's really underdeveloped, more than what I want, or it's not as developed as I want. Let's see if there's anything else in here. There's usually two pieces in here. Yeah, this is still underdeveloped. So there is the flower actually. So it's not ready yet. So this is where the pollen is. Well, we just dissected that for you. But anyway, when it's ripe, they will have little packets that look kind of like that, and they're sweet. All right, so here is a wild radish. You can eat the leaves of that and the flowers. I believe we're gonna have some further up the trail. And the seed pods. Seed pods are the best. All right, guys. Told you want to know what you should not eat, right? This right here, this is the plant that killed, I believe it was Socrates. This is poison hemlock. You guys see the purple dots on the stem? That's how you know it's not a carrot. It looks very carrot-like. People can mistake it for that all the time. Not all the time, but yeah. Also with this plant, if you break the stem and you smell it, it smells like something you should not put in your mouth. So don't put it in your mouth. Anytime you have a plant that smells like you shouldn't put it in your mouth, just don't. Yeah, but that one is one that you should not eat at all. Don't experiment at all. All right, we're going on this trail and we see this plant right here. So this is a toyon. It's like a bush. Sometimes it's more tree-like. But these berries, once they are ripe, which they're not ripe yet, this, I believe there's another name, is Christmas berry. Anyway, when they get ripe, it's red, and when you break it open, it's white inside. Toyon, and that is edible, but it tastes like nothing. So basically that would be a survival food in my opinion. Right next to it, again, this looks like your typical, you know, it's a cucumber, but you know, it's not. It's called wild cucumber, and that fruit is not edible. It has a spiky ball is the fruit. But right next to it, because this is in an area that is agricultural, we have random fruit trees everywhere. So this right here is, I believe it's an apricot. Let's look at the flowers over here. So here's the flowers right here. So this is something you can come back to. Just know it's there and come back to it. There you go. So there's a couple of plants here that I believe are edible, and I have not tried, so I'm not showing you those. There's 3 specifically that I've identified so far, and I might look them up when I get back. But if you know what they are, put them down in the comments. The ones I haven't said yet. So this is interesting. This is the male. So we have the catkins for the coast live oak, and that will help make some acorns on this tree. There you go. I was back up on the trail for a while. Now we're going down there because I see something. I see something that's not edible right now. Well, kind of is. So this right here, see if you guys know what that is. You know what that is? Yeah, got some spikes on that thing. Got some old dried up fruit. This is Himalayan blackberry, and it is a tremendously yummy blackberry. It basically was in the blackberry farms in the area and naturalized. So if it has big spikes like that, then it is a non-native one. Our native blackberry here has little tiny spikes, so that's how you tell native from non-native. This one's sweeter. It's not ready yet though, so we can come back here when the berries are ready later in the summer. So I see something else down there. Let's go check it out. I would never buy seeds for this. 1, because I don't need to. 2, because I don't really use it. This right here is called milk thistle. If you buy seeds from it, it's called blessed milk thistle. That is definitely edible. It has very, very sharp. Now these are fresh, so they're not as sharp. But when these leaves get bigger, these spikes get very, very sharp and very irritating. So I'll show you how you eat it. All right, so there's the plant, and it has the milky white. This is an invasive species, guys. If you plant seeds, definitely maintain it and cut off any seed heads you're not going to use, because this is highly invasive. And I will tell you, as a field biologist, it sucks to walk through a field of this. So how you eat it is you fold the leaf backwards. So there's the front of the leaf backwards. And it tastes like watery lettuce. So why would you use this? Why would you forage it? Why would you plant it? I mean, it's edible, but this is a medicinal plant. So look up the medicinal qualities of it and what it can be used for, but it is a medicinal plant. That's why people grow it. So they don't grow it to munch on. Anyway, but that's how you would eat that, or the whole backside is completely spineless, so that's how you do it. All right, over to this side of the trail with a lot of these same species, but here is a radish, the wild radish, and you could eat basically the whole plant. I mean, you could eat the individual flowers. They have 4 petals. They always have 4 petals. And this is what the leaves look like. But you can eat the tops, you can eat the petals, and all that. So this is the wild radish. And it's it tastes like mustard taste, so we're gonna have mustard here pretty soon. But it tastes a little mustardy, a little bit of that radish flavor that you have if you grow radishes. Now these don't make radishes underground. The edible part, you could eat it, but it makes a pod, the seed pod, and that's what you would eat. You wouldn't dig these up for radishes. You know, you would let the flowers mature and do that. But you could also eat this. You can eat the leaves, and it's good. It tastes like a radish. Oh my goodness, guys! I walked right past this. Anybody know what this is? As I get closer and closer, we're passing a whole bunch of other edible things on the way. This, anybody know yet? Look at that, it's about to flower. All right. That right there is a bay leaf. This is California bay. It's not the same bay that you would buy in a store, but you can use it in cooking. It's stronger. So you would just use, like if it calls for one leaf, you would use half a leaf. So that's what you use it for. Now, if you have oaks in your area, this is also a plant that can hold sudden oak death and not be affected by it. So that is something to consider if you're going to be moving it around and stuff like that. Like, totally be considerate of that and don't spread disease. Anyway, so this is bay leaf. This tree also has a fruit, so these flowers will turn into fruits, and they are kind of like an avocado, but they're like that big and mostly pit. I've only had one that was good, and honestly a squirrel picked it and I tried it and it was good. Everything I've tried has been a little bit not ripe. So maybe have your squirrels pick stuff for you. So we saw the non-native blackberry. This is the native blackberry. Now there is some other stuff mixed in here, but you're gonna have 3 leaflets, not 5. Poison oak also has 3. I'll show you what that looks like. But this has little prickles. You can see the little tiny prickles. Oh, and actually we also have, yeah, so we have old leaves here and new leaves here. This is our California native on what looks to be a wood rat nest. Cool. So here is another good plant. This is a mustard. There are many different types of mustards. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers, and whole plant really. So here I have to stop and tell you guys a story, okay? Mustard. We have a different kind of mustard where I grew up, but I was that little kid who wanted to know what she could eat. So I actually gathered the mustard flowers from a bunch of mustard plants, and I used a rock on a bigger rock, you know, like the Native Americans did. Like, that was what I was trying to do, and mixed it with a little bit of water and crushed those flowers and made myself mustard. So I know mustard is made from mustard seed typically, but mustard from the flowers, it tastes like mustard. So there you go. Experiences as a child. So this is edible. It's very good, and people eat the leaves, people eat the flowers. It's spicy a little bit. It's related to broccoli, so it's spicy a little bit, but it's not bad. The black mustard, when it gets more mature, that's more spicy, and you can also eat the seed pods of those. Alright, look down here, and all that right there, that's all gallium, also bedtras and cleavers is the other names. Just that whole understory there is all food. Alright guys, you ready to identify another plant you should not deal with? This is poison oak. So you can see it has leaf clusters of 3. There's 3 little leaflets, and you can see that the two bottom ones are close together and the one further out, and one of them is further out. Leaves tend to be shiny, and they grow on these sticks. They lose the leaves in the winter. They come back right now. You can see right here there's some flower buds starting. And if you look at the tips of the plant, it kind of, you might know this if you see it up close. It kind of looks like it's flicking you off. Like you see all those little nubs in there. It kind of has a little curvy bit at the tips. So that's how you can identify it without touching it. Also important to note, poison oak can be a bush, a vine, or even look like a tree. So this is one to stay away from. And you want to hear what's unfair? Primates are the only ones that are allergic to this. Your dog can get in it. They're not going to be affected, but once you pet your dog, oh boy, you're going to be affected. If you're allergic. Some people aren't. So there you go. Stay away from that plant. Now all these oak trees that we are walking under, they have acorns. Not right now, but they will drop acorns. So acorns are edible. You just have to, acorns are edible. You have to leach them though. So be aware of that before you eat them. There's acorns all on the ground. Nobody eating them. All right, we're gonna get closer to the creek here. And that tree right there is a California buckeye, and that is not good to eat unless you super leach it. So it makes a nut about that big, so I would not recommend eating that unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Here's a close-up of that buckeye, American buckeye. Or California buckeye, I mean. The close-up of the leaves. So now we've come upon a very interesting plant that is basically around the world and likes edges. So this plant here is called mugwort. Sounds like it's from Harry Potter, right? It's called mugwort, and it supposedly is the antidote for poison oak. You're supposed to chew it up in your mouth and spit out the saliva that goes with it and put it on there, rub it in. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it tends to grow right next to poison oak. Here's that plant right here. And this is very new growth. It often is more of a gray color, but that's what that is. And it's Artemisia vulgaris, and that is actually the same species that is used in Chinese medicines. I wouldn't eat this one. It's one of the ones that is used to bundle up and dry. I think they dry it for 9 years, and then they use it for things like cupping to produce the heat. So that is used in Chinese medicine. Has the same scientific name. I'm assuming that it is the same plant. I've not been to China. Here's a good reference of what that plant looks like. Under the leaf, on top of the leaf. It grows taller too. Now again, because we are in an agricultural area, we have things in our nature like olives sometimes. So this is an olive tree. It has light underneath and dark on top of the leaves, and it's down on the bank there, the bottom. It's quite a big one, but you can see on the ground here there are some olives. So if you wanted to brine those, collect them and brine them, you could. there you go. So another fun story. My grandpa apparently brined olives once and only once, because it was not that great of experience. He said it was a lot of work for what he got, but he did it, and I guess they were good, but he didn't want to go through the work again. All right, I knew we would come upon this. This is also something that you see on edges or actually out in fields. It tends to like sun, but this, you can tell it's in the mint family because it has a square stem, right? It has these flower heads. They're all dried up because they're last year's. But this is horehound. So this is called horehound. It is the same horehound in that horehound candy that you've had. Another name is cure-all. This is a medicinal plant. And basically it's good for sore throats. You can boil it down, make a syrup, and do that. Now I did this. I tried it. Boy, you have to add a lot of sugar to make it palatable. So know that before going into it, and also know that probably the horehound candy doesn't have a whole lot of horehound in it, because I know what the actual boiled plant tastes like. So anyway, this is horehound, and it grows readily. You don't have to look for, you don't have to like go out and buy it if you live in this area. You can just get off the side of a trail. Now, dogs may pee on the side of the trail, but you can wash it. So we can pan over there, over by the creek. There's another almond, a couple almonds. So I hope you guys have learned a lot so far. How many plants have you learned? How many things that you should and shouldn't eat have you learned? I know there's one more on this trail, and we're gonna go find it and show you what it is. It is something that is tasty, it's something that's good for you, it's something that will boost your immunity, and it's here in nature. So let's go find it. Found it. This right here is an elderberry tree. So the leaves are just starting to come out. So it might be kind of hard to show you what exactly they look like, but that's what they look like. Just starting to come out. You can see the wood is a little bit purplish. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the video or not, but it's a little bit purplish. Now, elderberries can grow as a bush or a shrub or a tree, and so they have many different growth habits, and there's actually many different species across the United States and Mexico and Canada. So there's a lot of different elderberries, and there's the European elderberry, which is totally different than this one. This one has a lot less of the, I don't remember what it is now, the bad stuff. Some people will be sensitive to eating the berry as raw. Some people will not. I'm not. But depending on the variety, then, you know, it'll have different strengths of that. So know your area, know your species. And to be honest, when I've collected elderberries, each individual tree is going to taste different. And if you are maybe on a farm that has all the same variety, and it has basically a cutting they stick in the ground, because that's how you grow them. That is how you grow them. You take a stick and you put it in the ground. So other than that, everyone is genetically different, and so before you harvest a bunch, make sure you like the one on the tree. Now, it's going to have a different kind of taste. It's not going to taste like the cold and flu stuff that's out there, because that has a lot of sugar in it. So even if it's honey, it still has a lot of sugar in it usually. It's going to taste a little different. It does taste better once it's cooked. I recommend elderberry pie. But I make elderberry syrup, and I can that, or I can elderberry juice, and save that for either a flavoring or you know, all these different things. I've made elderberry jelly before. That's really good over vanilla ice cream, I'll tell you that. But this plant is a super plant, and now you know what it looks like. This is a tree, and the leaves are not edible. I've recently learned that they might be used somehow, but not edible. And let's see if there's any Nope, gotta go up high. Okay. So, way up there. You guys see that thing in the middle of the screen there? That is an umbel. That's where the berries are. So you can kind of see things have been broken off by birds and the storms and all of that. But that's where the flowers and the berries occur. Now, they're going to occur not just on the top. They're going to occur down low as well. And here's what's cool. Not only is this tree a great medicinal tree, but you can eat the flowers and the berries, and they are very good and useful to you. So this is, unless I come upon something else, this is the last one we're going to show you. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for my subscriber who suggested that I do a foraging tour. I know I didn't actually pick much, but I showed you what you can eat, what you should stay away from, and it's all learning. So once you know these things, you'll know them and you can go on in the world. Different areas have different species. Common names can trip you up. Now, if you're looking at common names, you can look at common names, look at scientific names. Always double check. If you don't know what it is, always double check. And I always say that, don't just take my word for it, always double check with some other source. And that's with anything I say, anything anybody else says. It just makes sense. If you're going to be eating something or ingesting something, do your homework. But I'll give you a list and you can research that and see if it grows in your area. A lot of these species are weedy species, so they're going to be there's going to be a lot that are in a lot of different people's areas. But I'm in Central California, not really along the coast, but just south of the Bay Area. And so anything that I've showed you here and you're in that area, you're likely to be able to identify. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get all of the content. If you don't hit the bell, they're not going to give you all the content. I want you to have all the content. So please share this with someone who wants to know what they can eat. I mean, that's how I started. I want to know what I can eat. So enjoy the day and thank you for watching. We might get lucky. Looks like the vultures are starting to roost. We'll get closer, show you guys. There's one coming in. So all those little black dots are actually big black dots. And they are turkey vultures. Look at that. I count at least 15 in that tree. I totally forgot to say that the eucalyptus also has medicinal properties. And I don't know anybody that eats it, but it's good for making scents for aromatherapy and some other uses.